Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome to your hurricane update or hurricane report. You know what? On my other channel yesterday, I did a show when the National Hurricane Center was saying that this thing would probably come in as a Category 2, and they were expecting wind speeds of maybe 100, around 100 or something like that, I was saying major hurricane at the time, looking at the satellite imagery. And, I've been tracking hurricanes since I've been a little kid. Fascinated with them when I was a little kid. I used to watch them all the time and used to learn everything I could about them. This hurricane is developing into a majorly bad hurricane, really bad. And I'm going to open up the charts, let me see, right here and take a look. Now, this is the area. If I zoom out, you'll see. This is the area in near just to the east of Houston, Texas, where it's predicted to make landfall. It's probably going to make landfall somewhere between Beaumont and Lake Charles, along in there, maybe as far east as Jennings, or even Lafayette. But, I'll tell you that they can't precisely predict the exact landfall of a hurricane. It's very difficult. But they can pick the likelihood of where it's going to come through, And the likelihood it's going to come through just east of Houston. And Houston will skirt the edges of it, most likely. Maybe the center will come ashore somewhere between Beaumont and Lake Charles, maybe Lake Charles. But what I want to say is, all these low-lying areas, it's in this area around Port Arthur, maybe Galveston, all the way out to all this low-lying area right here. If you live in these low-lying areas, like even areas in around Port Arthur or Beaumont or Lake Charles, if you live around these areas and then you're in low-lying areas where the storm surge is going to come in a hurricane like this is not a typical hurricane. This is the kind of hurricane you want to evacuate for, with a massive storm surge on this thing. Depending on when the tide is, when the tide comes in. If it comes in at high tide and the hurricane coincides with the high tide, you could be looking at a massive storm surge, higher than they anticipate. If it comes in on a low tide, well, the storm surge won't be quite as bad, But you want to evacuate on a hurricane like this. You want to follow orders. If they tell you to evacuate, really evacuate. Because I'm going to tell you, a hurricane like this, if you're down near the coast, you're not safe even inside a cement block building. You are not safe from flying debris, from the storm surge itself. Can flood inside your building or house. And it can flood your house with you inside it. And then if you try to go out into the storm, you could get blown away. Quite literally, the wind speed can quite literally lift you off your feet and blow you through the air. It can hurl you. When we're talking about winds with sustained winds in excess of like 130, 140 miles per hour. That's as strong as a tornado. And, it's very, very dangerous. Let's take a look now in the charts. What we're seeing here is we're seeing a rapid drop in the barometric pressure of this storm. Yesterday, we were looking at barometric pressures of like 9.78. Right now, we're looking at a barometric pressure of 9.52 and dropping rapidly. The forward speed hasn't dropped that much. It's still moving northwest at 16 miles per hour. Let's take a look here. Now, this is computer modeling, and we can see it's a very tight band of the computer models that goes just inside Louisiana, right near the border between Louisiana and Texas. That's where it's predicted to make landfall. Here's a view of the hurricane itself right now at this particular point in time. Now, we're going to take a look at the hurricane itself again in the satellite imagery, and we can see it's developed a full circle around the semicircle around the eye is developed a full eye wall now, a very distinct clear eye, and there's good inflow and outflow all the way around the full semicircle of the hurricane. Is drawing in moisture and deep convection. And so what we have is we have a hurricane that's classic image. It's a classic looking hurricane like hurricanes we've had in the past, like Camille, for instance, or Katrina, for instance, you know? And in these kind of cases, you don't want to be anywhere near the coast when a Katrina hits or a Camille hits. There was people who were having a party during Camille, and they were near the coast in Louisiana. And this was a long time ago, I think back in the 1960s. But they were in a big cement block building that was well constructed with steel rebar and everything else. The walls were poured with cement and everything else, and they were in there having a hurricane party down near the coast when Camille hit. They showed pictures of the building after Camille, and all that was left was twisted pieces of rebar. That was all that was left of the building. It stripped the building right off flat to the foundation. That's the kind of power we're talking here, of the wind and the water when a storm like this hits. And this is not a storm to fool around with. This storm, sometimes we've had hurricanes in the recent past that built up really a lot of strength in the Gulf and become very, very potent like this one. But what happened was after a couple days out in the Gulf, they lost their intensity before they came on shore. This is not the same situation with this storm. This storm is building intensity right now. And it's going to make landfall very quickly because it's a quick-moving storm. So it's going to batter the coast. It's going to be really bad. This is going to be a bad hurricane. We're talking about probably level 4 intensity. So, quite seriously, you do not want to hang around. Here's another map right here showing the strike zone and how far inland the hurricane force winds are going to go. That's a deep gouge inland. It's almost halfway into Louisiana with hurricane force winds. It's growing into quite a large wind field on this storm now at this point in time. Here's another view of the gouge it's going to take when it hits. And it looks like Wednesday and Thursday, it looks like it's coming in. It's coming in fast. It's going to be moving through the Louisiana, and it's going to be then recurving and heading up through the parts of Tennessee and Kentucky and West Virginia and Virginia, and it's going to be exiting out around just south of Pennsylvania there, up around New Jersey, I guess. It's going to be coming back out onto the ocean, and then it's going to be recurving again and swinging up toward Nova Scotia, where I live. And some of it's going to come over Nova Scotia, but probably just a bit of rain at that point in time, because most of the wind will be knocked out of it from hitting land so hard. So the current conditions and the current locations of this storm right now at this moment is its center is 20, if you're tracking it, it's at 27.3 degrees north, 92.5 degrees west. It has maximum sustained winds of 140 miles per hour, and it seems to be intensifying. It's not far before it hits Category 5. It's not far up from 140. I believe 140 is Category 4. Movement northwest at 16 miles an hour right now, and this one's just going to slam in to the coast. That's basically what its plan is. It's not going to be a hurricane that moves real slowly over. It's going to be a hurricane where if you're farther inland and you're not leaving the area, okay, you want to have your preparations in place right now. And when this hurricane comes over, remember the eye. Now, this is for you guys who are inland a ways. I don't know, maybe you might be 100 miles inland or whatever, but you're in the area where it's going to come over you. Remember the eye. An awful lot of people have lost their lives because what happens is a hurricane comes through, the first part hits, the winds are going in one direction, and all of a sudden it gets calm out, and they think the hurricane's over. So they go outside. They might go across the street They might go down to a friend's of theirs, and on their way there, the other side of the hurricane hits. All right? And they get caught outside in it. An awful lot of times that's happened because there's an eye in these storms. And it's very calm in the eye. And you think the hurricane's over because the winds come in, they roar in, and then all of a sudden it gets calm outside. So don't be fooled by that. Stay in your safe place, even if you're further inland. The people on the coast should evacuate. If you're near the coast, near where the storm surge is going to come in, get out of there. Listen to your public officials, get out of there. But if you're further inland, the storm hits, remember the eye. Okay, listen, guys. Thank you for listening to this update on this hurricane. This is going to be a really bad hurricane. One of the worst ones I've seen in a long time. It's probably going to be remembered for a while. And you guys have a great, safe rest of the day. And give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.